what does it all do? What does it mean? Let's have a look-see. Here you've got your tools down the side here. I'm not going to run through them all now, but we'll work through them. What I will say is, if you right click on, for example, the text tool, there are extra tools underneath, and these are the shortcuts. So you would only have to press T, and you keep pressing T as it scrolls through them. We'll come back to those in detail. Across the top here we've got the usual culprits: file, edit, image, enhance, layer, select, filter, view, window and help. But to be honest, 9 times out of 10 that one's not a lot of help. Over this side we've got your edit, create and share, exporting for PDF slideshows, which is quite cool, sending to email, burning to DVD, CD, etc. Create, this is where you can make photo books, collages, photo galleries for online, that type of thing. And then the edit, this is on full mode, but there are quick and guided. The quick one basically does it for you, you don't do anything, so it's a bit of a cheat really. It's like using your camera on auto. Guided is a little bit better. It will help you and explain bits as you go along, so anything you forget you can go back to. Or the full edit, which is what we will be working in 90% of the time. So that's your workspace. Let's get started with our first picture. So here's gorgeous baby David, and how did we get him here? We either opened the file like so, or you can browse with Bridge if you're looking through a folder of images you're not sure where it is, which is something we'll cover. Right, so we've got the image open and we want to review our image. One of the first things I would say is look at your preferences, perhaps. Start here. This gives you lots and lots of options. Most of them, you know, I leave be. Notice the shortcut there. Very, very helpful. Very helpful. I stick with that. Works for me. Command or Control if you're on PC. Z is undo and Y is redo. Easy, easy peasy. Moving on next. Pretty much standard. Again, as it comes. This I have inches. I'm old fashioned. I still like my inches as opposed to centimeters or millimeters. Print resolution 300. Screen is 72 because you're just viewing, and everything is in inches. Transparencies, displays, performance. The one I always change for the history states, so that's for your undos. Put in 50, but it really does depend on how much memory, RAM, heavy stuff your computer's got, but at least you want 20 or 30 if you need to go back. Alright, so that's that, basics. Down here you can see, which is always quite handy, the image size and the resolution it's at. Resolution will be covered in your PDF module information. So here's a picture of David. We want to have a look at this, review it. I never work on an original image. I always duplicate the image or work on adjustment layers. A quick and easy way to do that is you have your original image here, and you can see this is background and it's locked. This means that you're restricted on some of what you can do there. So one way around that is you double click on the image and it comes up with layer there, and you click OK and it's now unlocked, so you can work directly on that, but I don't actually advise it. I advise something a little bit different. So if we remember our undo, Command Z, Control Z on a PC, and we're back to where we were. Another one of my favourite shortcuts here is the Command Mac Control PC J, and it will duplicate the image, and there you can see layer 1. What I like to do is click on that image and rename it. That's the edit image. That's the one I'm going to be working in. Or the other option is go straight to the adjustment layer, which is the black and white circle here. Click on that and you're ready to select which adjustment you would like to do. Levels is where you want to be. This is your histogram, which I'm sure you'll recognise. As you can see, there's nothing really bright white in the image because there's nothing over this area of the histogram, and there's some darker areas, but it's quite even. The little spike there is because of all the blue, basically. If we wanted to lighten it a little bit, we start on the white point and begin to drag it over, and you can see it gets brighter and brighter. But you've got to watch out as you're doing this, that area of the blanket there is losing detail, so you need to watch that. So you can, a couple of ways, you can either drag the white slider back again, or up here you've got the opacity of that layer, and you can drag that down, and you can see full on back to it was. So maybe around about there in the middle, and there's still the blue detail colour in the edge of the blanket. So that's a quick one on tweaking your exposure levels. If you're working on something really special or in difficult lighting conditions, you might want to consider using raw images. These are contain so much more data and are editable. You would need a special software. On the Mac I use Aperture, but Adobe Camera Raw, which comes with most other Photoshop and things like that, is good too. It's just I personally prefer this one. Here you can see two images, one intentionally overexposed and one underexposed. Because they're a raw image, they're quite easy to enhance, improve. Sometimes they're too much, but on these occasions I think we'll be alright. So if we start on this underexposed picture, as you can see over here, exposure 1, you can go for the auto. To be honest, not a great deal of improvement, so I'll just quickly undo that. I prefer the manual control, which brings it down a little bit more. You can then tweak your brightness. See, that's obviously pushing it back up, but dropping it down, not so bad. A little bit of recovery for some of the detail that's gone. And then finally black point. We'll bring back some of the darker bits like her eyelashes and the pupils and stuff. So that's a much better picture than we had. I would then take it into Photoshop, export it as a JPEG, and then enhance it maybe a little bit from there. Here we've got the underexposed one. Again, we've got the auto option, which isn't too bad on the underexposed. And basically, if you see there, it said it was underexposed by 1 stop. I'd probably pull it up maybe a little bit more. Something like that. I think that maybe looks better. One thing I'll say is with the underexposed one, you haven't got the blown out areas of skin that you have there. On the overexposed, you can mess around with it and try and bring those back a bit in Photoshop, but to be honest, it's a lot of work. Getting the exposure right obviously was the ideal, but say this was the only picture of a bride on her big day or something like that, then you'd have to work with it. Otherwise I would just delete, but then probably I wouldn't have took it in the first place. No, I'm only joking. I still make mistakes all the time. Not as often as I used to, thankfully, but they do happen.